Welcome back to In the Street Trades, where we give a blue-collar view of a white-collar world. My name is Rob. Today we are going to be looking at ticker symbol WTRH. That's Waitr Holdings. If you don't know what Waitr Holdings is, not a big surprise, not the biggest company, but it is a very interesting company because it's in a sector that is becoming huge. Now, they are in a sector with powerhouses such as Grubhub, DoorDash, and Uber Eats. So what are they? They are a store-to-door delivery service. Now, started off offering, restaurant, store-to-door stuff, but has expanded into offerings of groceries, alcohol, and as of this last earnings call, announcing that they will be doing cannabis delivery. Now, this company started in 2003, so they've been around just under 20 years, based out of Lafayette, Louisiana. Now, over these 20 years, they have expanded their foothold into 10 different states, and they have a total of 20,000 different restaurant offerings they have in 700 cities. Now, those 10 states are mostly southern states. So we have 20% of the total states in the country. They have, they have their business in and offerings in. So about a fifth of the total population. But meanwhile, they've been able to grow and kind of make an impact in these more small and medium-sized markets, more rural offerings that maybe a DoorDash or an Uber Eats won't go towards because they don't see it as profitable as your big city ones. So 2019 was a pretty bad year for Waitr. It was the peak of their growing pains. I mean, they acquired a company called Bite Squad, and they did it for good reason. I mean, they had good intentions. They wanted to expand their market share, and it definitely did. However, they kind of mismanaged the process. They really didn't realize what it was going to take to integrate it successfully and efficiently. And because of this mismanagement, they were burning through cash and heading towards bankruptcy, like quickly. And a few things happened that kind of changed the trajectory of where Waitr was heading. And firstly, they revamped the entire, pretty much the entire executive team. The creating founder, CEO steps aside. And when he stepped aside, the chief financial officer and two other board members actually resigned. But the move they made was they brought in former chairman and CEO of iPayment to become the new CEO, a man by the name of Grimstad. And Carl quickly makes a few key changes. And much like any success in life, you have to have skill. Timing is usually everything. And a lot of times there's luck involved. And for Carl and Waitr, I think they had all three of these things. Just truly change what happened. Now, the first thing he did was a smart move. Is he took 70 markets that weren't profitable and just completely. It's like, hey, we're not in there anymore. It's like, what's the sense? I mean, we're trying. We're throwing our bait in the water, and it's just not happening. So let's focus on these smaller and medium markets in these 700 cities, and let's grow that. And that's what he did. The second thing he did was, up until that point, all their drivers were actual employees of Waitr. They were on the payroll. And anyone who knows anything about any organization knows that payroll is your most controllable expense. So what he did is he changed them to independent contractors. And suddenly, you're taking all that off the books, and it significantly helps a company that's already struggling in an industry where it's kind of outmatched, to give them a little bit more breathing room. And, one other thing that they had going for them, whereas overall it has been crippling to the economy and so forth, but the pandemic kind of helped them, because food delivery, grocery delivery, these services became almost necessary, and it benefited their business. Now, let's take a look at a few of the numbers. Like I said, Carl took over, and within 9 months is when this stuff happened, a 9-month period. And that to put that in perspective, I really want to highlight that. So through some necessary dilution, they did add shares and so forth. The company was able to reduce their debt by $35.5 million and raised its cash level by $50 million in 9 months. Okay. Now, in the first 9 months of 2020, their revenue grew by over 6% over the prior year to $157.5 million, as their adjusted EBITDA improved $73.7 million to a positive of $33.4 million. Whereas they were burning and going down, it quickly was able to turn around with a few of these key changes. I mean, if that's something not to put on a resume, I don't think of what you could that would be better. Now, another thing that highlights how these changes affected the profitability was the average order size grew, okay? So by 15%. Typically, the average order size was about 3612, grew to 4158, while the average daily orders decreased by 24%. Now think about that. So you're shutting down these 60 markets that aren't profitable, and you're focusing on these the 700 cities that are making you money. And you're now not doing payroll for drivers. So what happens on all this is they're able to make more money while doing less orders. And that was the idea, and it was successful. And this is just on a small scale. As it grows, it grows, it grows. If they can match with these same numbers, think about the profitability opportunities, which it comes to my next point. What makes them a very appetizing, no pun intended, or every pun intended. Yeah, when I wrote that joke, I was like, this is just really bad. But very appetizing buyout candidate given its recent profitability. So you have a company that's in 10 states, 20,000 restaurants they work with, 700 cities, you're making money, you're paying down debt, you're growing, and you have these other big players in the game. Now, these big players look at this company, they're like, well, currently their stock's at like $250 a share, somewhere around there. Their market cap is $288 million, under $300 million. It might be worth our while to take a bite out of this and acquire them. And another point I wanted to put on here is like their share price is 25% of like the bigger businesses. So if you, based on their profitability. So you look at the profitability numbers of like a Grubhub or a DoorDash, their company is valued at 4 times the amount in comparison to what this company is. So realistically, in a vacuum world, their stock should at least be sitting at $10 a share based on that. But a lot of growing pains have happened. So the reason I even decided to touch this one is like there was an article on Motley Fool a few days ago, and I normally don't dig deep into any of the news, but this is a company like I've been watching for a while, and the name of the article was top 3 stocks for under $5, and I'm always curious by that. I'm like, all right, let's see what they said, and immediately I saw Waitr on there. I'm like, holy cow, you know what? Let me look back into what I kind of already know. And as I dug deeper, I'm like, you know what? It's for very valid reasons. Yeah, it absolutely is. Now, who's who's buying this stock as it stands right now? All right, so they have 111 million total shares with just over 97 million share float. Okay, 50%. Half of the ownership of this is held by institutions, okay? 139 of them, like spread out. But this is what's even more crazy. 21 million shares, nearly 20% of the holdings of this entire company is owned by 3. And that's Luxor, BlackRock, and Vanguard. So usually what I say is, institutional backing usually screams like a belief in the undervalued, like we could make some serious money here. Now, you could look at the big 3, and I guess you can give an argument for any of them. Who would be best suited to make a acquisition of a company like this. And I'd love for you guys to put it down in the comments below. Who do you think would, go towards this company? But truthfully, I thought it'd be a good one to look into. And if you get the time, check it out. It really, really, really is a very interesting holding out there. And it's kind of been really under the radar too. Again, thanks for, if you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. I really, really do appreciate it. It is a very new channel, and every view counts, every like counts, every comment counts. So, thanks again.